Life is beautiful.
The Theo Bros Podcast.
Yo, how we doing? I am Mike Theo.
I am Nick Theo,
And you are listening to the Theo Bros Podcast.
where you can count on daily wisdom to get your mind right.
All right, so this is one of the craziest stories I've heard in a very long time. There's this guy named Rick Rescorla. He sounds like a paisan. But he was the head of security at Morgan Stanley, working in the South Tower during 9/11. And this guy saw the 9/11 attack coming before anyone else. Let me explain. So he was an ex-army, and for years leading up to 9/11, he kept forcing everyone in the building to run these annoying fire drills. He would get every month a few thousands of people in their suits and their heels to walk down 40 flights of stairs, and every single one of them complaining every single time, like, why do we got to do this? Why do we got to do this? They all thought he was a hardo. Then the first plane hits the North Tower. There's panic, smoke, alarms, and while everyone else freezes, Rick grabs his megaphone and shouts, "This is not a drill, everyone out now." He then leads 2,700 people down the stairs, and every single one of them survived. And once they were safe, Rick turns back to help more. But the sad part is Rick himself never makes it out. He dies a hero.
Wow.
The lesson here is that when adversity strikes, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation.
Wow. That is a really, really powerful story, and RIP to a true hero there.
I can't believe this is the first time we've heard of this dude.
2,700 people. That is a ton of people, man. And to go back and still try to help more is really incredible. And I just want to give him some gratitude for a second before we jump into the lesson he taught us. Just some gratitude for him and for his sacrifice. That is pretty incredible, inspiring. But let's go to the takeaway here. So you were saying that we fall to the level of our preparation. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is we get complacent in life, I feel. Like, you don't think that these things are going to happen down the line, like a terrorist attack or a fire. You think that the fire drills are pointless until the thing comes and punches you right in the mouth. And in that moment, that life does punch you right in the mouth. If you're not doing the day-to-day things, if you're complacent in the day-to-day and you're not doing the hard things day after day, then when that punch in the mouth does come, you will be totally unprepared and knocked on your ass.
Yeah.
But if you do keep in mind that there might be this impending doom down the line, you think long-term about your life, you are honest about the fact that bad things and unexpected adversities will happen, and you keep that in mind day to day, and you prepare for those things ahead of time, you're going to save yourself a lot of pain down the line.
Yeah.
I think that's the main lesson here.
That's a good point. As you were saying that reminds me of why I try to meditate each and every single day, is because of that exact thing. I know that there are things that are going to come up in my life that are going to trigger me emotionally. And when I am consistent with my meditation practice, I can handle those emotions much better than when I slip in my meditation practice. And it shows with how I react to those emotions.
Yeah, one thing that it makes me think of that I feel like we've seen in movies, but also in real life, is when you get handed the divorce papers and you're completely blindsided by them. Or if it's not divorce papers, it's like you find out that your partner's cheating on you and you're completely blindsided by it.
Like, you just got complacent in that relationship. You just treated it as something that should have always been that way. And
basically, when things are easy, we stop doing the things that got us to that place.
Yeah.
So in the very beginning of a relationship, you're lovey-dovey, you're writing love letters, you're doing random acts of kindness, you're going on dates, you're doing all the things, and then eventually things get complacent and easy, and you stop doing those things to make your partner feel loved. And I'm not saying by any means that cheating or the divorce paper, I'm not condoning any of that shit. I'm just being real about what happens.
Yeah. You know, Kamal Ravikant, in our interview with him, he talked about this with loving yourself too. You You start loving yourself every day. You're on this path, and then all of a sudden you get complacent. You're like, all right, I love myself now, and then you just stop doing the practice, and then all of a sudden, about 2 weeks later, you're realizing like, why am I not actually so filled within myself?
100%. And I think another one that just came to mind, I'm just going to keep piggybacking here, that I think a lot of people are going to face is job loss. AI is coming. And people have worked really hard to get their degrees. They've worked really hard to get into positions they're in their careers. And then once they get in those positions in their careers, I feel a lot of times they get complacent. The doctor that becomes a doctor and then stops reading research papers to stay on the cutting edge of the new research and just relies on what they learned 40 years ago. They are going to like start getting wiped by AI. I don't know if the doctors themselves, I mean, probably, but people are going to start getting wiped unless they continue to prepare themselves every single day, build new skills, do the things.
Adapt or die, right? This reminds me of Steph Curry, because Steph Curry at some point within his career realized that he had to completely reinvent his shot and have a higher release. So he was this amazing shooter, and he was like, okay, if I need to sustain myself in this league, I need to completely reinvent my shot. And
Why?
he did that.
Because it was too short?
Because he was releasing it too low. So he started breaking down his entire shot and started releasing it much higher and quicker. And then going on that point about preparation, Steph Curry, we watch these games and we see him nail these shots at the end of the game, right? But the reason he's able to do that is because of the preparation that went into that.
Yeah.
He has a pregame ritual where he shoots 300 shots just before that game.
Wow.
That's not counting all the shots he does on the weekends, on the other days of practice. Like, this guy has probably shot a million 3-pointers where at the end of the game, it's not a high-stress situation.
It's just another one of those.
It's just another one of those. And Derek Jeter was the same thing. He said he treated spring training games the same way he treated the World Series games. And that preparation is what allowed him to show up in those moments without having that fear or anxiety, but just showing up and doing his job.
That's powerful. All right, let's wrap this up with a call to action. I think the call to action for today is to take a look at your life and ask yourself, where are you getting lazy and complacent? Is it in your health? Did you promise yourself that you're going to start your diet and then you never actually did it, or you'll get healthy when X happens, or you'll start taking care of your body when Y happens? Or is it your relationships? Are you taking your relationships for granted, whether it's your partner, your family, your parents, your siblings? Are you taking any relationships for granted? Have you stopped caring, stopped trying, stopped doing kind things? Or is it your job or your career, your finances? Have you stopped taking care of those? Have you just kind of let them slide? Have you not looked at your bank account in a while because you just don't want to see it?
Basically, where have you been coasting?
Where have you been coasting?
Just look at, and no one knows you better than you.
Yep.
And we're the easiest person to lie to.
Real quick, what do you think yours is?
Well, ever since having a baby, I have not been able to get to a gym. So
Are you still doing your push-up thing?
I still am doing my push-up
so
thing.
You're good.
But I feel like I need to really increase my level of intensity with a workout soon. And that area has been slipping slowly but surely. So that's definitely it for me. How about you?
I would say for me, it's my emotional health. I feel like I've been a lot more mindful, but my emotional states, I still, like, they were a top priority for me to be managing my emotional states and keeping myself in peak emotional states. And lately, I've let that drop a little bit.
So what have you been, what were you doing that you are now not
Just
doing?
making it a priority to be happy more often, like choosing happiness as opposed to letting my brain just kind of run on its own. Purposefully being intentionally, whether that's through journaling, physical state changes, whatever it might be, smiling more on, like literally just being more intentional about showing up happy into the world.
Well, I will now hold you to that.
Look at this.
Thanks.
Look how hard I'm smiling.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We love you.
Peace.
Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. If you're new here, we share daily mindset motivation in 10 minutes or less. So if that's your vibe, hit subscribe or check out another episode right here.